All right, welcome to the Purpose Driven Mom Show, episode 369. Today, I'm going to give you tips to stay focused and not distracted while you are working from home. This is the thing I hear from most of the moms that work from home that I coach and work with in my programs, the Purpose Driven Mom Club or the Mompreneur Roadmap. I have all these things to do, but the dishes are calling by name and this person needs me. And then I see the laundry. And when I do get time to sit down at nap to work, I'm unfocused. If that's you, lean on in because today I'm going to give you some of my top tips from working from home. Show notes, they're going to be over at purposedrivenmom.com/podcast369. Or if you're listening to this on the Purpose Driven Mom podcast and you want to watch, come over and head over to YouTube. You get to see my new background. I just redid my office. It's not finished, but you can see I've got my word of the year behind me, some good affirmations, the book. I'm feeling excited. And I'm feeling excited to share these tips with you today because I've been there. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my story about working from home and my journey. And I'm going to give you some tips that really help me stay focused, keep me from being distracted. Now, at the current moment, my kids, they are in kindergarten, I have to think, 2nd grade and 11th grade. They go to traditional school. Okay. So they are at school all day. I get a chance to work typically 9 to 3, Monday through Friday. I take some time off, which I'm going to chat with you today about kind of how I do that and what that looks like. But I've been there. When I started my business almost 6 years ago, I had a almost 2-year-old. My kids are 21 months apart. So a 2-year-old and a 5-week-old home with me. All right. And that's how the business started. They were both home and I was trying to do the thing. And honestly, when I was growing my business, when my son was so little, it was happening at 3 in the morning, at 4 in the morning, nursing over a boppy pillow because I was up nursing. And I thought to myself, well, if I'm up anyway with him, I'm not getting sleep. My husband and I, in the very beginning, when he was home on paternity, we did shifts. I don't know if this ever works for anyone else, but it really worked for us because, babies, their clocks are all off and they're up during the night, sleeping during the day. We did 4-hour shifts. And what this looked like was, because that's about how long I had to nurse. I would nurse the baby and then I would have my 4-hour shift. Now you, meaning him or me, were permitted to do whatever you wanted. I don't care what you did during your 4-hour shift. If I wanted to shower, take a nap, if he wanted to shower, take a nap, work out, if I wanted to work, whatever it was, none of us judged the other person, but it was, you're on for 4 hours of like really on baby time. And then we switched. And that really worked for us for like the first 6 weeks because I would take the shift. And then when it was my turn, I would finish nursing the baby. Then honestly, I would sleep. Or I would get up and do a little bit of work, grab a shower. He was the main provider during that time. And then we would swap. And for a while, we had to make that rule of you could do whatever you wanted because I was getting annoyed at him. I'm like, go nap, because as soon as that 4-hour alarm goes off, you were on. So don't say you had to sleep. But it really worked for us because it allowed us to get a little bit of sleep and a little bit of alone time. That was when I would get some work done. And sometimes my 4-hour shift was 4 to 8 in the morning. And sometimes the baby would sleep, but sometimes he wouldn't. And so that's when I would be working. I also then did it when my 2-year-old went to preschool. So she went to preschool 9 to 12 and the baby was home with me. My husband was back at work at this time. So I was able to grow my business while I was doing the nap time thing, right? So I did that while he was sleeping, while she was at school 9 to 12, 3 days a week. Fast forward when he became 2, or actually 1. No, it was 2. When he was 2, he started to go to the same preschool. So they both went 9 to 12, 3 days a week. That worked for about 3 months until the pandemic hit. I then worked from home with my kids during the pandemic. My husband was home as well, but we all know how that looked. And then, once maybe 2021, I think their preschool opened back up. 2022, I can't remember now. But then they both went and I had them going 5 days a week, 9 to 3. Because at this point, after 2020, my business kind of really blew up. I was had been consistent for a couple of years teaching routines to work at home moms. And now everyone was turning into a work at home mom and needed my help. I needed more time to work. So I share this with you to let you know that I've been there. And I know sometimes people are like, well, you have this great unicorn schedule. And I'm not going to lie. The schedule I've built for myself now, it's sweet. It's really sweet. I'm going to be honest with you right now. Today is Wednesday. I do my recordings on Wednesdays, like my YouTube podcast day. I make a schedule where I don't do anything else. Right. So I choose not to put any calls on my plate on Wednesdays because I want a day to do filming, recording. I will record one episode. I talked about this on a previous episode where I'll do like Pomodoro. Like I'm going to record this episode, then I'm going to go take a break and do something else. Then I'll come back and record a second. So if you see me in another episode wearing this exact thing, when we said we were going to do the YouTube channel, my podcast YouTube manager, she said to me, same person, she said, just remember, You're not trying to be a YouTuber. Your goal is that you want to put your podcast on YouTube so people who like to watch podcasts on YouTube or people who can't hear the podcast can access it. That is the thing. And she has to keep reminding me, because in my head, I am feeling really resistant to being a YouTuber. Like, I don't want to be a YouTuber. I want to teach, but I want to teach in a way that you can get there. So anyway, so part of that is saying, if you see me and I'm in the same outfit, it's because I'm not going to fake it. I'm not going to change an outfit to pretend it's another day, because I batch and I teach batching, which is something we'll talk about today. So yeah, if you see me in any episodes with this same hat on and this little messy side braid and that's because I'm batching, right? But one of the things that I think is really important, though, is having time where you can make a schedule where you can have some breathing room. And we're talking about that. And I share this to say, because Wednesdays is my day I do that. Wednesdays, I like to start my day with a nap. Sometimes I will nap on Wednesdays. I'll take a half-hour power nap. It's like my midweek push through the week. I'll drop my kids off at school. I'll take a 30-minute nap. It's glorious. But today I got home and I was like, I'm actually not tired and I don't want to nap. What I really want to do is read my book. So I just sat for half an hour and I read my book. It was wonderful. And now I feel refreshed and ready to go for the day. And that's actually one of the tips I'll share with you is, making a schedule. But again, I know that your schedule might not be like mine right now. You might be doing like I used to, right? You have the little kids home. You're doing it while you're nursing. You're trying to get it done in nap time. You're working full time out outside of the home, trying to start and grow a business. Or maybe you are like me, where I have the flexibility and time. This took time to get to. So I also want to say that please don't look at what I do and be like, well, yeah, of course you have a successful business. You can work from 9 to 3 every day. I had to get here, right? I had to be able to, I don't like hustle, it, right? But I had to be really intentional. I had to make some sacrifices. I've worked very hard to get here. It's been 6 years. And I think a lot of people will look at it and be like, it's overnight. And all of a sudden, no, it's not. And it's still not easy. I'm still not selling out every launch and doing those things. But what I have been able to do is create a schedule now that is pretty sweet. It really aligns with my life. If I want to go to the kids' school events, I can go to the kids' school events. If I need to drop my car off in the middle of the day, I shared this with, who was I talking to? I think it was on a coaching call the other day. We're talking about physical therapy. And I've shared this before in the podcast. I was in a really bad car accident last year and I had to go to PT for about 4 months, twice a week for an hour, and then do my home PT. And we were saying physical therapy is like a part-time job, right? Like it is, by the time you get there, get back, like it is work. And so I said, I'm just so thankful that I've been able to create a flexible schedule to do this. So I just want to encourage you today, if you're hoping to create a flexible schedule, you want to create a thriving business where you're working from home, where you're bringing in money, right? Where you're able to help your family out so that you can take the load off in other places. Know that it's possible. It obviously takes the work and the strategy. But one of the things I don't want you to do is feel like you have to do that at the detriment of your home, right? Or at the detriment of your own goals, or, the detriment of your sleep. Those things are really important. One of my missions, right? And I don't know, you probably can't see it. Maybe I have terrible handwriting, but I was like, you know what? Again, I don't care. It says I help moms who want to systematize their business and grow without hustle, because I do believe it's possible if you're intentional. And I'm going to share some tips today to help you kind of push away the distractions so that you're able to actually get there. All right, so that first tip to not being distracted and actually focused is predetermining work blocks. Now, your work blocks don't have to look like mine, right? I typically do like 9 to 12 or 12 to 3, but maybe it is nap time. What are you going to do? Be intentional. If you don't tell your time what to do, your time is just going to own you. And one of the things I want to do is teach moms how to control the time, right? How to figure out how to make it work for them. So when are you going to work? Is it before the kids get up, right? I did that for a while. I don't love that at all, but I did it when I had to. Is it during nap? Is it when they go to bed? Is it during the day? If your kids are at school or if you're homeschooling, well, maybe it is while they're doing their school. You need to have a work block. And when I say block, I don't mean it has to be 6-hour day. It could start with 1 hour if possible. It could start even smaller if you need. But can you find 1 hour in your day to be your work block? That is going to be key so you can stay focused. And then keeping the boundary. When it's time to work, it's time to work. Otherwise, I'm not doing anything but work stuff during the work block. Here's why this is important. When you start to determine these work blocks, again, my blocks are 3 hours each. They don't have to be. Yours can start at a half an hour. It can start at 1 hour. It's whatever you have in your schedule. But when you start to say, this is my work time, a few things happen. One of those is in our brains. Our brain starts to realize, like, this is not a hobby for me. This is something I really want to do. This is something that I am serious about. And I'm going to treat it that way. It also shows the people around us, our stakeholders. I know I coach a lot of women who struggle with this in the beginning of their business. Maybe their partners aren't the most on board. And if they see you, hey, listen, from during, Saturday morning before we go to sports, I'm going to get up in the morning and I want to have an hour to go work. I want to work in the office. Are you able to get the kids ready for football or soccer or whatever so I can have 1 hour to work? It's really important to me that this is my work block. When they start to see you treating it seriously, they get more on board. And listen, you don't need everyone's permission. You don't need all of that. But I will say there is a different dynamic in a marriage, right? And when you're going and making other sacrifices in your home to work on your business, you need to communicate those. You can't just go in and saying, well, these are my goals and screw you. And I actually was listening to a book today, and it really annoyed me. And I'm not a do not finisher, but I really was like, maybe I'm not going to finish. I thought I would love this book. I'm not going to say the book because maybe you will love it if you read it. And I don't want to skew your opinion, but it was very masculine energy around productivity. And he was talking about how he had these goals for his life and he really wanted to do them. And he included moving, and his wife was not on board, and the kids, they didn't want to move or whatever. But he said he knew this is where he had to go. That was his path. And so packed everybody up and left. And his wife was mad at him. And for like a month, like they were fighting about it, but he knew it was the best thing. I don't think that's a good way to have a marriage. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important to share your dreams and your goals, get people on board. And I think especially when you're growing a business, you need your partner on board. Even if on board just looks like, hey, can you get the kids ready so I can go do this? Can you do bedtime tonight so I can go do this? I think that's really important. So have work blocks. Do you have them? Or are you like, I'm just going to work on my business today? That allows me to stay undistracted, because if I know from 9 to 10 p.m., that's my work time, I'm going to say to my brain, I'm not allowing myself to do anything else because that is the time I've worked. And why that also helps is if you have this huge to-do list of work things, if you know where it's going to happen, it's less stressful. So I shared with you that my morning block on Wednesdays, I start with a little extra self-care and then nap or read or whatever. Maybe I'll go for coffee with a friend. But then I have a work block, and that work block goes from 10 to 1, and that is podcast/YouTube. So I'm going to do podcast/YouTube stuff. I'll record an episode. Then I'm going to give myself a recording break. I might go take some time to eat lunch, go do some planning. Maybe I'll outline stuff in the same realm while I'm thinking about podcast and YouTube. And then I'll come back and record another episode. That just really works for me. It refreshes me. But this way, on Monday, for example, I was looking at my schedule and I thought, oh, crud, I really got to get this episode done. I didn't feel the need to stop and drop. I didn't feel the need to just say, I have to do all of this right now. I was like, cool. I know that I've given it time on Wednesday. I don't have to be so stressed in my business, and it's just a lighter feeling. So do you have work blocks, and have you pre-assigned what's going to happen in your work blocks? I have this concept of batching where you're doing tasks together. I just gave you an example, YouTube, podcast. Do that because your brain is in the mood to do it. So do you have a block where you're working on social media, where you're working on admin, where you're working on your program development, whatever it is? Pre-assign it each week. Now, it doesn't have to be the same each week, but pre-assign it. I sometimes change it. So for example, normally, next week, for example, I normally do my off day Wednesday. It's my block in the morning. And that's when I would normally meet for coffee. Well, a friend asked me to go for coffee because she can only go on Fridays. So now I'm just going to switch those blocks, right? It's fine with me because I'm allowed to customize. The other thing that I think is going to be very important, since we're talking about that, is scheduling some time off that's not just working all the time. Because especially when I was doing this, when I was primary care, home with the kids and the business, and there was no help because my husband was at work, when I was doing such the bulk of it, you guys know that season, right? And some of you were in that season. I felt like I had to maximize every minute, right? I'm sending my kids to school. I'm paying for preschool during that time. I need to do it. Or I only have an hour for nap. I have to maximize. Take one nap day a week off. I know you want to run your business. I know you want to grow it. Allow it to be free. And during that time, if you want to work on your business, cool. If you want to get distracted in a personal project, awesome. If you want to go take a nap, cool. Do what you need. By just pre-assigning even just one, not even a full block. Like I mentioned, it's not a full block I take off. I take an hour out of my morning off to once a week to just do whatever I feel like. We'll catch up on my TV show, whatever it is. Because when you're running in the other direction and you're like, because I have the time, I must work the time, it doesn't become fun. My coach always says, can it be light? Can it be easy? What can you do to make it that way? And so I really recommend that you think about how you can make it light and how you can make it easy, okay? And that would be by giving yourself some time off so that you can take a break, go for a walk, do whatever you need to do. Now, the other thing I'm going to say about distractions is let's talk about the home. Oh, man. And I'll tell you right now, I have maybe half a sink full of dishes right now from breakfast. All the breakfast dishes are still in there. It's the morning. I don't care. I have my laundry just beeped in the other room. I always start my laundry right when we get up in the morning, put it in before school so it can be done so I could fold it. I'm going to leave it there. Why? Because I've pre-assigned when my home block is. My home block is from 3 to 6 before we go to whatever activity, eat dinner and stuff like that. That's when I work on home tasks. I'm not doing cleaning during the day. I'm not doing home stuff during the day. Now, I will say I do have to go run an errand today. I try not to do that during the workday, but I do have to get it done because it has to happen before a certain time today. Okay, cool. But more often than not, I've assigned when those things are going to happen. This way, my brain can say, I see the dishes. I'm going to get to them when it's time to get to them because this is my work time. This has been such a game changer for me because I think the struggle when you work from home, one, nobody gets it. Nobody gets what the heck you're doing, right? My working out of the home mom friends struggle to really know what my day is like. My stay-at-home mom friends struggle to know what my day is like. Only we really know, right? Like trying to do all of it. Be like, come for a play date. No, I'm working, right? It's so challenging because people just don't get it. And that's fine. I don't need them to get it. I need to stick with my boundaries. And so this is one of the things that really helps me think about it. Like, especially if you have school age kids, right? Your kids are at school full time. So you have the day to work. I pretend like I am at an office. If I was at an office or I was a teacher for 9 years, if I was in my classroom, I couldn't do my dishes, right? Now, there are some days where I'm sitting and I use my microwave minute technique, which is the theory of the microwave minute is, hey, I'm heating my coffee up in the microwave. I'm going to take that 30 seconds to a minute to put a couple dishes in the dish away. So then by the end of the day, it's easy to do. I still do that, right? I still do my microwave minute when my coffee is like brewing in the Keurig. I will put a couple dishes away, or I might like take the trash out real quick or something like that. But it's only in those micro minutes. That way, when it is time to finish putting the dishes away, it takes me like 5-10 minutes because I've been slowly doing it throughout the day. So I still have that system, but I'm never like, well, I can't get started because I have to mop the floors right now, or I can't get started because the laundry has to get put away. I'll either do it in a microwave minute or I do it during my home block. And that allows me, one, to level up as an entrepreneur. This is a business and I'm treating it that way. And also to say to myself, I know when things are going to get done, I'm going to be less stressed. Okay. The last tip I'm going to give you, actually, I think I have 2 more, is around boundaries. One of the distractions that happens for me a lot is other people. So people all day on my phone, texting and calling and things like that. And I made myself a couple boundaries that I try desperately to keep. This is my podcast YouTube block. I'm recording. Whenever I'm recording, my phone is over there. I don't need it. Why? Because I will be tempted to look at it. I will be tempted to answer it. The other thing that's important for me is if I'm on a coaching call, that's when I take my phone and I put it upstairs on the charger. I don't need it near me. I don't need to be distracted by it. Now, the other day, it was actually funny because I don't know how to make it. I guess I could turn it off. I have to figure out how to do it. My computer, I have a Mac, iPhone. So it was like ringing on my computer during my call. I was like, wait, I don't know. So I have to figure out how to turn that off. It like doesn't happen every time. So I'm like, why is it just happens randomly? Because I want to be focused on my person. Make rules for yourself like that. The other thing that I try to do is I text people back during my lunch break. So I also take a lunch break. It's only 20 minutes, but I take a break and I sit and eat lunch like I would at an office. So I'm taking a little mental break for myself. That's when I text people back. I do not text people back most of the time during the day. And some of my friends, I'm sure, get annoyed by it. And, my mom is like, come on, I'm here, right? But I want them to know that, like, I want to talk to you, but also I need to focus on my business. And so I make some non-negotiables when it comes to what I will do and won't do during the work week, because I do honor that work time and it helps me be less distracted. If you're constantly answering people's text messages, they're going to think you're always going to do it. There's a saying, right? You will teach people how to treat you. And I did this really terribly in my last business when I was in network marketing. I was glued to my phone, my computer, carry it around the house, right? Answer messages like that. I would never take a break from that. And then people thought that I was on demand. And it happened recently. Well, I'll tell 2 stories. Once it happened about a year ago. I had somebody who I was coaching my network marketing business. I don't do network marketing anymore. I still get a check, which is really cool. I built a business, 250 people on my team. I worked really hard. It was hustle there. And I still get paid from it. So I'm like, cool. It's not a lot, but I'll take the money for not doing any work. But I had somebody that I was coaching in that business, and they were used to me on demand. And so they had a question about something for this current business. So they sent me a Facebook message. I don't check my Facebook messages. That is another one of mine. I don't have Messenger on my phone. I don't like Facebook messages. So like I'll scan them on my desktop and see if there's anything I really need. I don't want to check it. I feel like I have this like little nudge, like I'm like, oh, this resistance to it because of my network marketing days of literally making the choice to learn from people who taught, sending 900 hey girl messages and answering them all the day. Like, so many bad things. I apologize in advance if you were ever on the other side of my sleazy network marketing. Thank you for supporting my business, but I apologize if it ever felt inauthentic to you. It's so funny because I think one of the reasons I was able to be successful in network marketing is because I really did care about the person and I helped them, but I did look at things as quantity. The more people you message, the more people get back to you. And once I got a customer or a client, like I was like super focused on the person, but it was like before that, I was like, well, everybody needs help. And it just, anyway, you could go back, right? So anywho, one of the things that this person did was Facebook message me. I didn't answer because I don't answer my Facebook messages. So they then emailed me, and literally minutes later. I think this whole interaction happened within a half hour. Then I got a DM. Hey, I don't know if you saw my message. And I was like, wow, that is how I used to allow people to treat my hours and my boundaries. Now I tell my program members as soon as they come into the club, one, I'm not in the Facebook group. My coaching team runs it. So I'm not in the group. I mean, I'm in the group, but I don't check it. I scan maybe. 2, if you need me, you need to email me. And 3, we have an away message that goes up because we don't want people. First, we as a society are like instant gratification, but the away message goes up and says, hey, we've got your message. So, got through, we have X work hours. Our team does not work 24/7. Someone will get back to you within 48 hours. And we create that boundary. Don't work on the weekends, things like that. Create your own boundaries and stick to them. You deserve it. And that's how you get caught in the burnout. That's how you get caught in the hustle, and just know what your boundaries are. It's important to think those through. And then my last tip today is pre-plan. I'm telling you, to be less distracted is just to have your pre-plan. I'm not going to harp on this too much because that's pretty much what I feel like I talk about in every episode, but pre-planning is crucial to success, because if you pre-plan in 15-minute blocks the way that I teach, go back and listen to an episode, come join the club, like learn the method. When it's time to sit down and work, you're not distracted by everything you have to do. You're laser focused on what the plan was. And you're going to say, thank you, Cara, from 2 weeks ago for making this plan. Listen, I love chatting with you today. You can check out the YouTube channel, just search Purpose Driven Mom and we'll come up. Otherwise, show notes are at purposedrivenmom.com/podcast369. We've got some freebies, some resources, and I'd love to chat with you more. Come over and check out my new TikTok, by the way. I'm trying to grow TikTok over at A Purpose Driven Mom in all places. Otherwise, have a fabulous day and thank you for joining.